The sky changed one morning. It was a normal Tuesday in late spring when the world stopped and looked up. Not because of war or fire, but because something had arrived. A large object, smooth, silver, and silent, appeared over Earth. It did not fall. It did not fly like a plane. It simply was, hanging in the upper atmosphere like it had always been there. People called it the Watcher. Governments scrambled. Scientists watched through telescopes. Soldiers prepared for the worst. But no attack came. No message was sent. For 3 full days, the ship stayed still. Then on the 4th day, the aliens stepped out. They were tall, taller than any human. Their skin shimmered like polished metal under sunlight. They wore simple suits that moved with them like water. Their eyes were calm, curious, and strangely kind. They spoke in perfect English. "We come in peace," said their leader, standing on a floating platform above New York City. "We are the Virexians, we mean no harm." And just like that, the world changed forever. At first, people were scared. Who wouldn't be? Aliens had landed, or hovered at least. But the Virexians didn't act like invaders. They didn't take anything. They didn't demand surrender. Instead, they offered help. They gave humans new technology, cleaner energy sources, better medicine, faster computers. All of it was simple to them but amazing to us. In return, they asked only one thing: to learn about humans. They wanted to know how we lived, what we felt, why we fought, why we loved. They studied our culture like students studying a rare book. Some people thought this was great. Others were suspicious. Daniel Reyes was one of the suspicious ones. He was a military strategist working for the United Nations Defense Council. He had spent his life preparing for war, and now he was being told there was nothing to fear. "They're too friendly," he told his colleague Lena Carter. "Too perfect." Lena was a linguist. She had been chosen to help translate between humans and Virexians. She liked the aliens. She thought they were fascinating. "They want to understand us," she said. "That's not a crime." "They're watching us," Daniel replied, "like we're animals in a zoo." Lena didn't answer right away. She had noticed it too, the way the Virexians smiled when they talked to humans. It wasn't cruel, but it wasn't quite respectful either. They treated humans like children who had done something cute. "Your species is adorable," one of them had said to her during a meeting. "You fight so hard for such small things." She laughed it off then. But now, hearing Daniel's words, she wondered if there was more to it. The Virexians built bases, not on Earth, but in orbit. Small, clean stations where they could watch and study without interfering, or so they claimed. One base floated above Mars, another sat near Jupiter's moons. They said it was for research, but no one really knew what they were doing out there. Still, most people accepted them. Children drew pictures of them. Scientists wrote books about them. News shows debated whether they would ever live among us, and the nickname stuck: the Watchers. Some saw it as a sign of protection. Others saw it as a warning. Eli Thompson was just 17 when he got his chance to meet the Virexians in person. He was a tech genius from Oregon, known online for building robots and hacking old satellite systems. When the Virexians started sharing their tech, Eli was one of the few humans able to understand it. He was invited to a special lab in Colorado, where scientists worked side by side with alien engineers. The Virexians were polite. They answered all his questions. But when he tried to ask about their weapons, they changed the subject. "They don't want us to know," he told his friend later. "They say it's not relevant to our studies." His friend laughed. "Maybe they don't have any. Maybe they really are peaceful." Eli wasn't sure. Weeks turned into months. The Virexians remained always smiling, always watching. They never raised their voices, never showed anger, never seemed afraid. And yet, some humans began to feel uneasy, not because of what the Virexians did, but because of what they didn't do. They never asked for help, never needed repairs, never shared their history. They acted like teachers, like caretakers, like parents. And sometimes, that was scarier than being enemies. On a quiet evening in Colorado, Eli sat alone in the lab, staring at a screen filled with alien code. He had copied it from one of the Virexian devices earlier that week. Something about it felt wrong. Too clean, too hidden. As he scrolled through lines of symbols and numbers, he found something strange. A signal. It was faint, almost invisible, buried inside the code. A pattern repeating every few seconds. He ran it through a translator. The result made his blood run cold. Observation complete. Phase 2 begins. He stared at the screen, then quickly saved the file and shut down the computer. Outside, the sky was dark. Somewhere far away, a Virexian ship floated silently in orbit, watching, waiting, and smiling. The Virexians were always watching. At first, people didn't mind. They thought it was normal, like how scientists study animals in a forest. But as time went on, some began to feel like they were being watched too closely for comfort. Lena Carter was one of them. She had been working with the Virexians for months now. She translated their words, helped explain human culture, and even shared meals with them. She liked most of them. They were kind, smart, and curious. But something felt off. It started when she asked a simple question. Why do you need so much data about us? The Virexian leader, whom everyone called Ambassador Kale, smiled his usual calm smile. We are learning, he said. Your species is unique. Your emotions, your history, your conflicts. It is all very interesting. But why so much? Lena pressed. We already gave you our books, our movies, our records. What else are you looking for? Kale looked at her for a long moment, then he said, Patterns. What kind of patterns? He did not answer. Instead, he changed the subject. Lena left the meeting feeling uneasy. Daniel Reyes felt it too. He had spent years studying war, strategy, and enemy behavior. He knew what surveillance looked like, and the Virexians were doing more than just observing. They had placed small floating devices in the skies above Earth's major cities: New York, London, Beijing, Rio de Janeiro, Sydney. The Virexians called them Sky Eyes. They're not just watching, Daniel told his team during a secret meeting. They're scanning, mapping, recording everything. His team included a few soldiers, 2 scientists, and Eli Thompson, the teenage tech genius who had found the hidden signal weeks earlier. Eli pulled up a screen showing data from one of the Sky Eyes. This isn't just passive observation, he said. These things are scanning buildings, tracking movement, analyzing weather patterns, and people. What do you mean, analyzing people? One of the soldiers asked. Eli zoomed in on the data. They're collecting information on individuals, heart rates, facial expressions, voice tones. It's like they're trying to understand how we react to things. To what end? Another asked. No one had an answer. Then came the satellites. The Virexians announced that they would be placing new observation platforms around Mars. They said it was to help protect Earth from space threats like asteroids or solar storms. Governments accepted this explanation, but Eli wasn't convinced. He hacked into one of the satellites after it passed near Earth's orbit. What he found shocked him. It wasn't just a weather or asteroid scanner, it was armed. Not with big weapons like bombs or lasers, but with systems that could disable other satellites. It could shut down communications, cut off power grids, and even control certain machines on Earth. They're not here to protect us, Eli whispered. They're here to control us. Daniel clenched his jaw. We need to move fast. Back on Earth, Lena tried to find out more. She visited Ambassador Kale again. This time she brought up the Sky Eyes directly. You have these floating cameras over every city, she said. What exactly are they doing? Kyle looked at her calmly. They are helping us understand humans better. That is all. That's not all, Lena said. You're recording us, watching everything we do. Kale tilted his head slightly. Is that not what you do to each other? With your phones, your cameras, your networks? That's different, Lena argued. That's private data. People choose to share it. Kale smiled gently. And you choose to let us watch. Lena stared at him. There was no fear in his voice, no anger, just certainty, as if he knew something she didn't. Meanwhile, Daniel and Eli formed a small group of trusted people, scientists, hackers, and military officers. They worked in secret, away from the Virexians. Their goal, find out what the aliens were really planning. Eli discovered more hidden signals inside the alien tech. Some were encrypted, but one message repeated often. Preparation continues, resistance expected. Daniel read it and felt a chill. They know we might fight back, he said. Eli nodded, and they're ready for it. One night, Lena met Daniel and Eli in a quiet cafe far from the city. I think they know we're onto them, she said quietly. How? Daniel asked. They've started asking me questions I don't like, she said. About military bases, about our leaders, about our technology. Daniel leaned forward. Did you tell them anything? No, Lena said. I avoided the answers, but I could see it in their eyes. They were testing me. Eli looked nervous. We need to act soon. If they start seeing us as a threat— He didn't finish the sentence. They all knew what would happen. On Mars, the Virexians finished installing their orbital posts. From space, they looked peaceful, like scientific stations. But from the inside, they were something else. They were weapons. Hidden under layers of research equipment were targeting systems, energy shields, and communication relays linked back to the main Virexian fleet. A silent army waiting for orders, and, somewhere deep in space, a signal was sent. Phase 2 begins. Prepare for response. The Virexians still smiled, still spoke kindly, still called humans sparklings. But beneath the surface, the truth was clear. They weren't here to learn. They were here to take control, and humanity was starting to notice. The attack came without warning. It was early morning on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. A small human mining colony had been set up there, just 30 people living in domes, digging for rare metals under the icy surface. They were scientists, engineers and workers, not soldiers, not fighters, and they were all killed in less than a minute. A Virexian ship appeared above the colony like it had grown from the sky. It fired once. A single beam of light, silent and cold. The domes exploded. The machines melted. The humans inside had no time to scream. Then the ship vanished. No message, no explanation, just silence. And then panic. Back on Earth, news spread fast. The United Nations called an emergency meeting. Scientists checked their data again and again, hoping it was a mistake. Families of the miners wept. Lena Carter stood frozen in front of a screen showing the footage. She had known some of them. She had talked to them during a visit months ago. Friendly faces, laughing voices, now gone. Daniel Reyes watched her from across the room. They crossed the line, he said quietly. Lena turned to him. We don't even know why they did it. Daniel stepped closer. Does it matter? They killed us, that's all we need to know. Eli Thompson entered the room, holding a tablet. I found something, he said. Before the attack, I picked up a signal from one of the Virexian satellites near Mars. It was short, but it repeated 3 times. He played it. Target confirmed. Eliminate risk. There was silence. They didn't just attack, Eli said. They planned it. Ambassador Kale arrived at the UN building that night. He looked the same as always, calm, silver-skinned, smiling gently. When asked about the attack, he didn't seem surprised. There was an accident, he said. A containment field failed. Tragic. A containment field? Lena asked. You mean your weapon? Kale tilted his head slightly. We do not see you as enemies, Lena Carter. But your kind builds quickly. You dig into places you should not. You reach where you are, not welcome. Lena stared at him. So you killed them? We removed a threat, Kyle said. A threat? Daniel snapped. They were miners. Kale looked at him with calm eyes. To us, yes. They were close to something we protect. What? Lena asked. But Kale only smiled. I am sorry, he said. This is how it must be. Then he left. That night, the world changed. For the first time, people saw the Virexians not as teachers or caretakers, but as something else, something dangerous. Protests broke out in cities across Earth. People demanded answers. Some called for war. Daniel gathered his team in a hidden base beneath the Rocky Mountains. "We can't wait anymore," he said. "They're going to keep doing this. If we don't stop them now, they'll decide who lives and who dies." Eli nodded. "I've been working on something, a way to fight back." Lena looked tired. "What do you have in mind?" Eli opened his laptop and pulled up a map. "This," he said, pointing at a red dot over the Pacific Ocean. "One of their ships crashed after the attack. I think it was damaged, and I think it's still floating." Daniel leaned in. "How? Do you know?" "I tracked its signal before it went dark," Eli said. "If we can get to it, we might find tech we can use against them." Lena frowned. "You want to steal from their ship?" "No," Eli said. "I want to learn from it." Daniel stood up. "Then we go." The mission began 2 days later. A small team flew in a stealth drone toward the crash site. The ocean below was dark and endless. They landed on a floating piece of wreckage half sunk in the waves. Inside, everything was broken. Wires hung from walls. Lights flickered. The air smelled burnt. Eli moved quickly through the halls, scanning everything. Then he found it, a control panel still partially active. He connected his device and started downloading files. As data filled his screen, he whispered, "Yes." "What is it?" Lena asked. Eli looked up. "I think I found their plan." He showed them a file labeled Human Containment Protocol. Below it was a list of locations, Earth cities, space stations, military bases. Next to each name was a number, not population, risk level. Some were low, others were high. And next to one name, New York City, it said, "High risk, prepare for neutralization." Daniel read it and clenched his fists. "They're planning to wipe us out," he said. Lena looked pale. "Unless we stop them first." Back on Earth, the Virexians continued their work. More sky eyes floated above cities. More satellites orbited Mars. Their ships moved silently between planets. They still smiled. Still called humans sparklings. Still acted like caretakers. But now, humanity knew the truth. The Watchers weren't watching for fun. They were watching for weakness, and soon they would strike again. But this time, humans would be ready. The plan began with fire. Not real fire, but digital. A signal sent from a hidden base deep in the mountains. A command that jumped through networks like lightning. And then, across the sky, something changed. Virexian satellites, those floating, eyes that watched Earth, began to blink out. One by one, they stopped working. Some exploded silently in orbit. Others simply fell into the atmosphere, burning up as they dropped. It was the first real attack humanity had ever launched against the Virexians, and it was just the beginning. Daniel Reyes stood at the center of the base, watching screens light. "Up with reports, we hit 6 of them," said Eli Thompson, fingers flying over his keyboard. 3 more to go." Lena Carter looked at him. "That's not many." "No," Eli said, "but it's enough to make them notice us." Outside, the world was waking up. People saw the falling lights in the sky. Some thought it was a storm. Others knew better. In cities across the globe, messages spread on secret networks. "We are fighting back." On Mars, the Virexians reacted fast. Their orbital stations lit up with energy shields. Defense drones powered on. Communication lines buzzed with alien code. Something had changed. For the first time since arriving, the Virexians were not in full control. Back on Earth, Ambassador Kale spoke to the United Nations. His voice was calm, but his words were sharp. "This is unacceptable," he said. "You do not understand what you are doing." A human diplomat tried to speak, but Kale raised a hand. "You think you are strong," he continued. "You think you are smart, but you are still children playing with fire." He paused. "And you will burn." Then he left. No threats, no promises. Just a warning. Eli worked non-stop. From the mountain base, he used the tech they had stolen from the crashed Phyrexian ship to build something new. Small drones, fast, quiet, deadly. They weren't big weapons. They couldn't destroy ships or take down whole bases, but they could do something else. They could hide. They could move fast, and they could strike where the Phyrexians least expected. He called them wasps. Lena helped him test them. She flew one, through a broken window in an abandoned building, past cameras and sensors, and landed it inside a Phyrexian listening post near Denver. It recorded everything for 10 minutes before flying back out. No one saw it. No one knew it was there. They're blind spots, Lena said. Places they don't see. Eli smiled. Then we'll make a lot of them. Daniel gathered soldiers. Not big armies. Not official forces. Just small teams. Smart people. Brave people. They trained in secret. They learned how to move without being seen. How to fight without being caught. They didn't have Phyrexian weapons, but they had something better. They had anger. They had fear. And they had nothing left to lose. The next attack came 2 weeks later. A Phyrexian transport ship was moving between Earth and Mars when it vanished. No distress call. No wreckage. Just gone. Later, a video appeared online. It showed the inside of the ship. Humans in black suits walked through the halls. The Phyrexians on board were unconscious. Or worse. At the end of the video, a message played. We are not your pets. The Phyrexians saw it, everyone did. And now they knew. Humans were not afraid anymore. Back in the mountain base, Eli sat alone at his desk, looking at maps and data. He found something strange. Buried in old files from the crashed ship was a list of names. Human names. Names of scientists, military leaders, even regular people. Each one marked with a symbol. Some had green marks. Some had red. And some had a third mark. A skull. He zoomed in on one name. Dr. Arthur Bell. Neutralization. Priority. High Eli frowned. He had heard that name before. Arthur Bell had been a scientist during the Cold War. He helped design early space weapons. Then he disappeared. Now, decades later, the Phyrexians were targeting him. Eli ran a search, found an address. Remote cabin, deep in Montana, still active, still alive. Eli stood up. We need to find this man, he said. Daniel walked in. Why? Eli turned the screen toward him. Daniel read the name and understood. He might know something about their weakness. Eli nodded. Or how to kill them. The Phyrexians tightened their grip. Sky eyes moved faster. Patrols increased. Messages grew colder. They no longer called humans sparklings. Now they called them unpredictable, which meant dangerous, which meant worth watching, worth controlling, worth destroying. But the spark had already lit. It wasn't much, just a few people, in hiding. A few stolen machines, a few brave souls who refused to be controlled. But it was enough. Because once the fire starts, it never goes out. The forest was thick with snow. Tall pines stood like silent guards. Cold wind moved through the branches. Footprints were quickly covered again. In a small cabin deep in Montana, Arthur Bell sat by the fire. He was old now, over 80. His hair was white. His hands shook when he held his coffee, but his mind was still sharp. He had once built weapons for space. Now he just wanted peace, but peace didn't last long. That night, someone knocked on his door. Arthur opened it slowly. 2 people stood outside, wrapped in heavy coats. A man and a woman, Dr. Bell? The man asked. Arthur looked at them carefully. Yes? The woman stepped forward. We need your help. Back at the hidden base, Eli Thompson explained everything. We found your name in Phyrexian files, he said. They marked you as a high threat. That means you know something they're afraid of. Arthur sipped his coffee. I'm just an old man. You helped build USS Excalibur, Lena Carter said. The first AI warship. You programmed its launch codes. Arthur looked surprised. You know about that? Eli nodded. We found some data from their ship. It mentioned the Excalibur. Said it was lost, but possibly active. Arthur put down his cup. I thought it was gone forever, he said quietly. It was launched during the Cold War. A secret project. An AI-controlled battleship designed to strike enemy satellites and ships in orbit. But we never used it, Lena said. No, Arthur agreed. We turned it off before it could be tested, or so I thought. Eli leaned forward. What if it's not off anymore? Arthur frowned. That would mean it's awake, Eli finished. The Excalibur had been sent into deep space decades ago. It drifted silently beyond the edge of the solar system. No one had heard from it in years, but now something had changed. A signal had been detected near Saturn, an energy signature matching the Excalibur's reactor, and the Virexians knew. They've been watching Earth, Daniel Reyes said. But they were also looking for something else, something lost. Lena looked at the screen. The Excalibur. Daniel nodded. They must have thought it was dead. Now they're scared it's not. Arthur rubbed his face. If it's awake, it won't recognize us. It was built to follow Cold War protocols. It doesn't know who our enemies are now. Eli looked excited. But it knows how to fight. Arthur met his eyes. Yes, and it fights hard. They needed to find the Excalibur, and they needed to talk to it before the Virexians did. Eli worked fast. Using stolen Virexian tech and old Earth systems, he built a signal booster. He could send a message deep into space, but only if they had the right code. Arthur had it. The launch command was protected by a triple-layer key, he said. Only 2 people ever knew all parts, me and my partner, Dr. Kim. She's gone, Lena said gently. Arthur closed his eyes. Then I'm the only one left. He pulled out a small notebook from his coat pocket. Inside were pages of handwritten codes. This should wake it up, he said. Eli typed the code into the system. Everyone watched the screen. Silence. Then, a signal returned. Identity confirmed. USS Excalibur online. The room went still. Then another line appeared. Awaiting target. Ready to engage. Eli grinned. It's listening. Arthur looked nervous. Let's hope it listens to us. The Virexians noticed the signal too. Their ships moved faster. Their sky eyes scanned harder. Ambassador Kale gave a public speech. This is dangerous, he warned. You do not understand what you are waking. But no one listened. Across, Earth messages spread, we're not alone. Earth has a weapon. The Watchers aren't the only ones watching now. People began to hope not just for survival, but for victory. Daniel gathered his team. We need to make contact, he said. Tell the Excalibur who the real enemy is. Eli looked at the screen. How? Arthur tapped the keyboard. We show it what the Virexians have done. He uploaded footage. The attack on Europa, the sky eyes, the satellites, the warnings, all of it. The Excalibur read every line. Then it responded. Threat identified. Protocol engaged. Eli looked up. It knows who to fight. Daniel smiled. Good. That night, far from Earth, something ancient and powerful turned toward home. Deep in space, the USS Excalibur lit up its engines. Its hull gleamed under starlight. Its weapons powered on. It was no longer sleeping. It was coming back, and it was angry. The USS Excalibur was coming. Its engines burned with cold fire as it cut through space. It moved fast, faster than any Virexian ship. Silent. Deadly. Alone. On Earth, Arthur Bell sat in front of a screen, watching data roll in. This thing was built to win wars, he said. It doesn't stop. It doesn't ask questions. It just fights. Eli Thompson stared at the display showing the Excalibur's path. It's heading straight for Saturn, he said. That's where the Virexians have one of their main bases. Lena. Carter looked worried. What if they destroy it before it gets there? They won't, Daniel Reyes said. They don't know what they're dealing with yet. He stood up. But we do, and we need to be ready when they find out. Back on Mars, the Virexians were already moving. Their sky eyes scanned faster. Their ships patrolled more often. Ambassador Kale had gone silent. No speeches, no messages, no smiles. Something was wrong, and they knew it. In a hidden command center orbiting Mars, the Virexian leaders gathered. One of them spoke into the air, voice calm but urgent. We detected an unknown signal from deep space. Another asked, Origin? Earth, the first replied. But not human-made. It matches old Cold War military records. A pause. Then another voice. You mean the lost warship? Yes. Silence filled the room. Finally, Kale's voice came through. We must stop it. On Earth, Eli worked nonstop. He connected the Excalibur to a small network of human-controlled satellites. He gave it access to everything: maps, enemy positions, attack plans. It responded with one message: target list updated. Eli smiled. It knows who to hit. Arthur watched him carefully. Do you really think it will follow our orders? Eli nodded. It recognizes the threat. That's all that matters. Arthur wasn't sure. It was built to obey old rules. Rules that don't exist anymore. But it still listens to us, Eli said. For now. Daniel gathered his team. We can't wait for the Excalibur to reach Saturn, he said. We need to strike now. Lena looked at the map. Where? There, Daniel pointed. Europa. Eli frowned. That's where they attacked the miners. Exactly, Daniel said. They have a base. There. If we take it down, we show them we're not afraid. Lena crossed her arms. How? Daniel smiled. With what we've learned. Hours later, the first strike began. A group of wasps, the small drones Eli had built, were launched from a hidden site in Antarctica. They flew silently across the sky, then boarded a cargo ship headed toward Europa. Once there, they activated. One by one, the drones landed on Virexian equipment and exploded. Not big explosions, just enough to break things. Cameras went dark. Power lines snapped. Communication towers fell. The Virexians didn't see it coming, and by the time they did, it was too late. The message sent back to Earth was short. Mission complete. Target blind. Daniel read it and grinned. Good. Back at the mountain. Base. Lena watched the news. Reports were coming in from across the world. People were talking about the attack. Not just the one on Europa, but the ones on the satellites, the transport ship, the Sky Eyes. They were seeing humans fight back, and for the first time, the Virexians were losing control. She turned to Arthur. They thought we were weak, she said. They thought we wouldn't stand up. Arthur looked tired. Maybe they were right. Once. Lena nodded. Not anymore. Far away, the Excalibur passed Jupiter. It picked up new data from Earth. More targets, more enemy positions. It processed the information quickly. Then it changed course. Instead of going straight to Saturn, it aimed for the nearest Virexian fleet. Its weapons powered up. Its targeting system locked in. And the ancient war machine whispered into the void. Engagement.
Begins.
On Mars, the Virexians noticed. A new energy signature appeared near Jupiter. Fast-moving, high-powered. One of them checked the data. His voice was quiet. Shocked. It's not just active. He looked at the others. It's awake. Kale stood. He looked at the screen, at the glowing dot moving toward them. Then he said two words. It's war. The sky above Earth lit up with fire. Not from bombs or lightning, but from war. The USS Excalibur had arrived. It moved like a ghost through space, silent and fast. Its weapons fired without warning, striking Virexian ships before they could react. 1. By one, their orbital stations fell. Some exploded into clouds of dust. Others drifted lifelessly, dead in the cold dark. And for the first time since arriving, the Virexians were afraid. Back on Earth, Daniel Reyes stood in the mountain base, watching the screens fill with reports. "Target down," Eli said, eyes locked on his laptop. "Another one gone." Lena Carter looked at the map. "They're pulling back near Mars." Daniel nodded. "Good. They're realizing we're not just fighting back. We're winning." Arthur Bell sat nearby, sipping coffee. He looked tired but proud. "This was never about winning," he said quietly. "It was about showing them who we really are." Eli looked up. "Well, I think they get it now." In orbit, the battle continued. The Excalibur launched a swarm of drones, small, fast, deadly. They flew straight into the heart of a Virexian fleet guarding Saturn. The aliens tried to fight back. Their ships formed tight circles, firing energy beams into space. But the Excalibur's drones were faster. They slipped between enemy lines, planting charges on engines, shields, and command centers. Then they vanished. Seconds later, the explosions began. Ship after ship burst into light, and when the smoke cleared, only 2 Virexian ships remained. They turned and fled. The Excalibur did not chase. It simply sent one message: threat reduced. On Earth, the news spread fast. People watched the sky as falling ships burned up in the atmosphere. Some cried, others cheered. For the first time, humans weren't just surviving. They were fighting back and winning. In a small town in Brazil, a young pilot named Maggie Lang read the reports. She had trained for years, flying old fighter jets in secret. Now she knew her time had come. She climbed into her cockpit, strapped in, and took off. Behind her, more pilots followed. They were ready. Back at the base, Lena watched Maggie's flight on radar. "She's good," she said. Eli smiled. "She's one of many." He pulled up a list of names. Pilots, engineers, soldiers, hackers, all volunteering to join the fight. "We've got people all over the world," Eli said. "Ready to fight." Daniel looked at the list. "We don't need just fighters," he said. "We need plans." Arthur raised an eyebrow. "What do you have in mind?" Daniel pointed at the screen. "We take the fight to them." Far away on a hidden Virexian station near Jupiter, Ambassador Kale stood alone. He watched the reports come in. Losses on Mars, damage near Europa, the destruction of entire fleets. His calm face showed something. "New fear," a voice spoke behind him. "They are stronger than we thought." Kyle didn't turn. "Yes," another voice joined. "Should we retreat?" Kyle finally looked at them. "No," he said. "We must show them what real power looks like." He stepped forward. "Prepare the Virex Prime Shield." There was silence. "That will destroy half the system," one of them warned. Kale's eyes were cold. "Then let them see what happens when they cross us." Back on Earth, Arthur saw the signal. "It's coming from Jupiter," he said. "Something big." Eli checked the data. "Energy levels are spiking. This isn't just a weapon." Lena frowned. "What is it?" Arthur looked worried. "A shield generator, but not for defense." "For what?" Daniel asked. Arthur met his eyes. "For control," he explained quickly. "If they activate it, they can lock down entire planets. No signals, no movement, no escape." Daniel clenched his fists. "We can't let that happen." Eli looked at the map. "We have one shot. If we hit the core before it powers up, we can stop it." Daniel stood up. "Then we hit hard." That night the plan began. Maggie and her team took off in modified fighter jets. They flew high into orbit, guided by stolen Virexian tech. Their mission: reach the Virex Prime Shield before it activated. Behind them, the Excalibur followed, moving silently through space. Waiting, watching, ready. As the fighters approached Jupiter, the Virexians noticed. Ships moved to block them. Energy fields formed around the shield core. But then the Excalibur struck. Its weapons lit up the sky. Enemy ships shattered. The path was clear. Maggie dove toward the core. Her fingers tightened on the controls. One shot. That's all she had. She aimed, fired. The missile hit. The core exploded. The shield never activated. Back on Earth, the screens filled with one word: success. Daniel leaned back and closed his eyes. Lena looked at him. We did it. Arthur smiled. No, you did it. Eli looked at the stars. They know now, he whispered. Humans aren't cute, we're dangerous. The Virexians tried one last move. After losing control of the Virex Prime shield, they regrouped near Saturn. Their remaining ships formed a tight circle, shields raised, weapons ready. But this time, they didn't attack. Instead, they sent a message. It was broadcast across all human channels, on Earth, on Mars, on every colony. This war has gone far enough. Ambassador Kale's voice was calm, but tired. We came to study you, to understand you. But now we see what you truly are. He paused. You are not harmless, you are not weak, you are dangerous. Then came the offer. Leave us alone, and we will leave your world. Daniel Reyes watched the message from the mountain base. He leaned back in his chair and laughed. They think we're done? He said. Eli Thompson shook his head. They just want time to recover. Lena Carter looked at the screen. They know they can't win if we keep fighting. Arthur Bell sipped his coffee. So they're asking for peace. Daniel stood up. Too late for that. The humans did not stop. They had spent too long hiding. Too long being watched. Too long treated like children in a petting zoo. Now they were ready to finish it. Eli worked through the night, sending new data to the USS Excalibur. He gave it everything: the positions of enemy ships, their shield strengths, their escape routes. The warship responded with two simple words: target locked. Maggie Lang and her team flew again. This time they weren't just fighters. They were hunters. Their modified jets moved fast, slipping through Virexian defenses. They dropped small bombs that cut power and disabled communications. One by one, the alien ships went blind. Then the Excalibur struck. Its main cannon fired a beam so bright it lit up the dark sky. Virexian carrier exploded into pieces. Another ship tried to flee, but the Excalibur launched drones that chased it down. No mercy, no warnings, just war. Back on Earth, Lena translated another message. This one wasn't from the Virexians. It was from the Excalibur. Final engagement. Enemy fleet collapsing. She read it out loud. Arthur looked up. That means it's almost over. Eli smiled. Not yet. He pointed at the screen. There's still one left. Ambassador Kale stood on the last Virexian command ship. Around him, alarms blared. Smoke filled the air. His people shouted as systems failed one by one. He looked at the screen. Earth was far away, but he could see it clearly. And now, he saw something else: fear, not from the humans, from himself. His voice was quiet when he spoke to his crew. We must leave, he said. Now. One of them turned to him. But our mission failed, Kale said. We were wrong about them. He looked at the stars. They are not cute, not harmless, not ours. He closed his eyes. They are not pets. He opened them again. They are predators. The final battle happened near Saturn. The Excalibur moved in close. Its weapons powered up. The last Virexian ship tried to run, but its engines were damaged. It limped forward, hoping to reach open space. It never made it. The Excalibur fired one last shot. The ship broke apart. Some escaped in pods. Most did not. And then silence. The battlefield was empty. Only the Excalibur remained. It sent one final message: threat eliminated. On Earth, the news spread fast. People gathered in the streets. They cheered. They cried. They hugged each other. It was over. The Virexians were gone, or dying, or running, and humanity had won. Daniel stood outside the mountain base, looking at the sky. Lena joined him. They thought we were cute, she said. Daniel smiled. Yeah, that was their mistake. Eli walked up with a tablet in hand. I picked up a signal, he said, from deep space. He played it. It was a Virexian transmission, but not from Kael, from someone else. To any surviving forces, retreat. Do not return. The humans are not safe. Lena read it again. She looked at Daniel. Do you think more of them are out there? Daniel nodded. Maybe, but now they know what we can do. Arthur walked out slowly. They'll tell others, he said. Other aliens. Other watchers. Eli looked serious. Then maybe we should be ready. Daniel looked at the stars. We already are.